So yeah, it's a great question. What is the difference between rational intelligence and emotional intelligence? And I do get asked this a lot. And in fact, there's four key levels of intelligence within the consciousness of every human being that I sense. There's probably many more, and many have been mapped. But essentially, there's four for me. And when we were at school, we learned to develop what's called our rational intelligence, our IQ, if you like. And when we make our decisions rationally, we usually say to someone, just hold on a second, I just need to think this through. And so rational intelligence, it takes time, it takes lots of thinking, it's quite noisy in our head, but most of all it's slow, it's a little bit slow. But still it's the practical way to make practical decisions about how we act in our life. But then someone came along, I think about 12, 15 years ago, and they reminded us that actually this rational process is a little bit slow. There's a quicker way, there's a faster way. Why don't we use the stuff that women have and men don't? Otherwise known, of course, as intuition. Some people say common sense. But intuitive intelligence is when I'm not using my thoughts to make my decisions. I might say I'm going this way, not that way, and you might say, Mike, why are you going this way, not that way? And Mike says, I don't know why, it just feels right. So it's when we make our decisions using our feelings. Most of us don't know the difference between our thoughts and our feelings. It's just not part of our education. It's like the big hole in our education as children. But when we use our intuitive intelligence, it's like it's instant, it happens 1 second, I don't know why, I'm deciding to do this and not do that, there's no reason, but it just feels right. And of course, there's many places now you can go and relearn, if you like, how to listen to your inner tutor, your innate wisdom, that little quiet small voice that's always trying to guide our life from inside out. But most of us can't hear that voice, the voice of our feelings, because of the noise of our thinking. Too much thinking, thinking, thinking. But if you ask most, I guess, entrepreneurs, business people, even scientists, they'll tell you their best decisions were usually made intuitively, usually in the bath, because that's where we're most relaxed. And when you relax your body, then that's when your mind becomes quiet enough so that we can hear the more subtle feelings of the heart, if you like. But then, I guess about 9, 10 years ago, someone came along and said, wait a minute, hold the horses. There's another intelligence, there's another energy that interferes with our thinking, our feeling, our relationships, everything. And suddenly we heard this idea of emotional intelligence, very popular or popularized in the past 10 years. And the difference between emotional intelligence and rational intelligence is quite simple, really. I don't know if you remember the absent-minded professor type at school or university, and if you put 500 people in front of that person, give them chalk and a blackboard, they'll talk all day long. The most complex formula, brilliant mind. But if you take them to a cocktail party and stand them 6 inches from another human being, they can't do it. Their own emotions are raging out of control. They can't pick up the emotions of others. They're not sensitive enough to sense what the other person is feeling. So they have very high IQ, but very low EQ, where EQ is simply being aware of the emotions that I'm feeling and knowing how to manage those emotions, and then being sensitive to the emotions of the other person and being able to empathize and respond appropriately. So this is in essence the difference between EQ and IQ. But then the deepest level of intelligence has been coming over the hill. The cavalry's been coming over the hill for a few years now, and it's called SQ. And SQ is spiritual intelligence. Nothing to do with dogma or belief systems, but just that little voice inside our heads. That little voice that sometimes whispers to us, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? It's that little voice that tells me I've not yet learned to create meaning in my life. And every human being is a maker of meaningfulness. And someone with spiritual intelligence is able to make meaning out of anything that's going on around them. So one of the signs of someone with SQ is they'll never be surprised by anything. They'll never be shocked by anything, because they're able to ascribe meaning to whatever is going on around them and within them. And so this is called SQ, or spiritual intelligence, our sense of meaningfulness, our values, our purpose, our sense of identity. So within our consciousness, we all have these 4 levels of intelligence, and they're all integrated. It's a little bit false to take them apart like this, because they're all integrated. But in essence, we need that deepest level, that SQ, to understand our EQ and our intuitive capacity. And that's why today we see the rise and rise of the books and the seminars about intelligence, and how do we cultivate our different levels of intelligence.